Baghdad, Iraqi forces have captured the border town of Rawah, the last remaining town under Islamic State control, signaling the collapse of the group's self-proclaimed caliphate. Rawah's capture marks the end of IS's era of territorial rule over a so-called caliphate that it proclaimed in 2014 across vast swathes of Iraq and Syria. Iraqi forces liberated Rawah entirely, and raised the Iraqi flag over its buildings, Lieutenant General Abdul Amir Rashid Yarullah said in a statement from the Joint Operations Command. Syria's army has also declared victory against the terror group, but last week militants re-infiltrated al-Bukamal, near the border from Iraq, and are still fighting there, as well as in some villages and desert areas nearby. All the forces fighting in both countries expect a new phase of guerrilla warfare in desert areas, a tactic the militants have already shown themselves capable of. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi congratulated the armed forces and people, saying Rawah was retaken in record time and that Iraq would soon completely defeat the group. "I congratulate our heroic forces and the Iraqi people on the liberation of Rawah. The success of our forces, in record time and with excellent planning, shows their strength. Our armed forces continue to secure the Jazeera and desert area and the Iraqi border. Total victory is near," he said. A map published by the military showed 0 areas under his control, and a spokesman for the US-led coalition fighting the group in both Iraq and Syria said on Twitter it had crumbled. A video issued by the military showed Iraqi forces sending a message to Rawah's residents via radio which said, "Daesh has ended for good, and now the age of Iraq begins," referring to the Sunni militant group by an Arabic acronym. Another showed a convoy of military vehicles sporting Iraqi flags and blasting out the national anthem. State television played patriotic songs and aired footage of troops in Rawah. "With the liberation of Rawah we can say all the areas in which Daesh is present have been liberated," a military spokesman said. Iraqi forces will now focus on routing the militants who fled into the desert and exert control over Iraq's borders, the spokesman said. Rawah borders Syria. Al-Bukamal, in Syria, shares a border crossing with Al-Qaim in Iraq. The militants lost control of the border crossing earlier this month, dealing a critical blow to the organization, which had long relied on the route to move its fighters and equipment. The group's leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, is believed to be hiding in the stretch of desert which runs along the border of both countries. Shrinking caliphate driven this year from its 2 de facto capitals, Iraq's Mosul and Syria's Raqqa, was progressively squeezed into an ever-shrinking pocket of desert, straddling the frontier between the 2 countries, by enemies that include most regional states and global powers. In Iraq, faced the army and the Shiite paramilitary groups, backed both by the US-led international coalition and by Iran. Iraq has been carrying out its final campaign to crush the caliphate while also mounting a military offensive in the north against the Kurds who held an independence referendum in September.